Hey, everybody, and welcome to another installment, yet another edition of Work Your Career Wednesday. As always, I'm Bradley Clark, and I'm so thrilled, honored, and blessed that you chose to tune in today and join us. And I have an amazing guest today. If you can tell by the smile on my face, I'm thrilled, and this is going to be a great show. But let's Coleen, let's pay some bills real quick, if you don't mind. Real quick, I got to tell you, if you want anything and everything connected to video, you want documented, you got a commercial, you got a podcast, you got a conference, you got I don't know what else, Coleen, uh, speaking event, whatever. Get in touch with Steven Saldana at White Husky Films. The number is on the screen, or you can get a hold of us at www.whitehuskyfilms.com. Dream, create, record in that order. And when you choose White Husky, you will be so glad you did. And oh my gosh, one of our sponsors, our first sponsor, actually, Coleen, this is really neat. Jane's Physical Therapy. They are specialists in in-home healthcare. That we are still looking for a couple PTAs. We're looking for physical therapy assistants and physical therapists in the New Orleans area, West Bank, North Shore. Get in contact with us right away. Go to LinkedIn, or you can always go to our brand new website, www.janes, JAYNESPT.com. That's janespt.com. I got to tell you, they are an amazing organization, and we are honored to have them as a sponsor. And we have just been finding some great folks. So thank you guys so much, and keep on applying. We're still hiring in the New Orleans area. So yeah, it's really kind of cool. And hey, I got to tell. Okay, so Coleen, I've this band is incredible. TV Dolls. I'm wearing my TV Dolls shirt again. Yep. They're an amazing band out of Houston. Get in contact with them. They're all over social media. And I think their website is tvdollsmusic.com. But hey, do a Google search, TV Dolls. They're an amazing band. Book them, see them. Their music videos are incredible. You'll love them. Now let's get on with the show. Hold on. This is gonna let me take a sip, Coleen. Hold on.
Need a turbo.
All right. I need a turbo boost. All right. Coleen Greco.
Yes, sir.
She is a beacon of compassion, empathy, and unapologetic authenticity. But her journey to becoming this vibrant force wasn't always smooth sailing. Like many of us, she battled her own self-defeating thoughts for over 4 decades. Through a profound journey of self-discovery, spiritual exploration, and personal crisis, Coleen defied the odds and transformed her life into a radiant source of joy. And today she proudly wears the title of Joyologist, offering mindset and nutrition coaching alongside personal training to those seeking to break free from feeling stuck and reignite the spark of joy in their lives. By the way, she has an amazing podcast where she is unleashing joy. As a dynamic motivational speaker, Coleen travels the globe, inspiring individuals, thousands of individuals, corporations alike, with her revolutionary SNAP method, empowering others to reclaim their joy and live life to the fullest. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and my privilege to introduce to you Coleen Greco. Coleen, welcome to Work Your Career
awesome.
Wednesday. Well, you are awesome. You really are. And we're just so thrilled to have you. And your story is absolutely fantastic. Just it's so inspiring. If you don't mind, go into it and tell us about you.
Yeah, no worries. And really, thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure, and it's always great talking to you. So I'm just happy to be here. I'm just here for the fun. Hi everyone. It's great to I don't know. Are we meeting? I guess we're meeting, right? I guess they're hearing me later, whatever.
Well, there's well, according to our analytics, there's hundreds of thousands of people on the other side of the screen that I know um, they need to hear your story. I mean, I know when I heard it, and I was going through something at the time when you and I talked, and it reminded me that no matter what I'm going through, you can't let it steal your joy.
100%. That's why it's above
Right?
my, yep. So, I mean, really to start at the start, I've always been a really positive person, not in so much as feeling as though, I lived in a bubble or anything, but just always saw the bright side of everything. It's very easy to be focused on the negative, especially if you pay any attention to the media. So
I'm glad
I've
you said
always,
it. I was about to say it, but I'm glad you said it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Gosh.
so I don't watch the news for that reason. I get
Yeah.
my media somewhere else, but I've always just been that person that has been able to see the good in anything. And it wasn't until we had a suicide attempt here at the house. My son was 10 at the time, which, was not even on our radar of possibility, right? At that age, especially. But he was he was the most popular kid in school. He was super athletic. Everybody loved him. He wasn't what you might have had in mind as somebody that felt that step was necessary. But it happened. He was bullied by his best friend at the time. And I always describe it as like a king of the mountain type of scenario, right? There's only room for one at the top. And so he had to go. Um, as a result, though, our entire world came crashing down. I completely crumbled as an individual. My husband, my other son, we all were just in shambles. And so initially, I didn't handle it well, as anybody probably would imagine. I ate and drank my feelings. I had about 3 beers a night every single night for months. And like I said, I just ate anything I could. Didn't really matter as long as I didn't feel. I didn't want to feel. Because if I was spending my time feeling, I couldn't be focused on him. And so, as you might imagine, too, that really wasn't like a long-term recipe for success. So I started to realize if I was going to be a good role model for him and help my family heal, I had to heal myself. And so
Hmm.
after those several months, I'd put on probably 40 something pounds and started to seek the help of a nutrition coach and started losing the weight, gaining a better sense of self. I stopped drinking altogether because I do have alcoholism in my family, and that was always in the back of my mind. I could see how I could very easily get to that step, and I didn't want to go there. And so decided that's got to go. And as I was losing the weight, I started working with my nutrition coach to say, can you help me develop these strategies so that I never get to that place again? Like, how do I remove the emotional connection to food? And he said, I'm not your therapist. And I thought, that's a terrible response. um,
Yeah.
but it gave me an
Wow.
idea. I said, you know what? I can do this better than you can. Because if you can't see that this is a mindset issue,
Mm.
not really a nutrition issue, if my mindset was sharp, I wouldn't have, had that poor relationship with food. And so that's when I started all of my certifications. I started all my training. I believe the SNAP method, the methodology I developed, found me and helped me to remove those limiting beliefs, some of which, as you said, had haunted me for over 4 decades. And
Mm.
so now I take those strategies and all that education, and my goal is to get them out to every single person possible so that they have better support as they're going through whatever their thing is. They have the support that I didn't have. And that's my goal, simply stated.
I love that. Can you go into what because I have several questions, but can you go into what the SNAP method is?
Yeah. So first I'll kind of say limiting beliefs maybe isn't a phrase people are familiar with, but it's those triggers, those things that you're like, oh, like when they hit, you're like, or,
Yeah.
oh, I need a drink, or, oh, I need that box of, bag of Oreos, whatever. Those are the things that you have an immediate response to something that hits you, and just makes you feel agitated. The SNAP method was developed to help remove those limiting beliefs because they're actually untruths. That's your body's way of signaling, saying, you're out of alignment. This isn't right. This isn't real. And so SNAP is an acronym. It stands for stop, notice, accept or analyze, because I can't make up my mind, and practice gratitude. So I'll walk you through those steps. So the first step is stop. So when the trigger comes, you simply stop and you let it wash all over you. And it can be painful, but the point is you don't, run towards the pantry immediately. Just stop, let it hit, kind of recognize it. And
Kind of experience the moment, experience the pain, and
yeah,
let it and recognize it. Oh, I love
yeah,
that.
like I'm
Yeah, that's great.
triggered. This hurts, but I'm going to sit, like almost like you have to sit on your hands, right? Don't
Oh, wow.
move.
Yeah, yeah.
And just let it happen. And the second step is notice. And this is where the whole process starts to pick up. I tell my clients that when you really notice, you take out your journal or a pad of paper or whatever it is, and you start to record your symptoms. So there's always a visceral response. So when that trigger hits, some people break out into a sweat. Some people start to shake, their voice tremors. For me, I get a lump in my throat. It's like a golf ball in my throat. But everybody has a little bit of a different visceral response. But it's an immediate thing where you're like, oh. And that's important to record because we want to eventually use this information to identify trends. You also want to record the story as you believe it to be. So there's the truth, and then there's your version of the truth. And it's really important not to edit what you think is happening. So, if you're like, Bradley really offended me, and here's the 5 reasons why, just record it as you believe it to be. It doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong right now. But as you're recording that, get really specific on the environment and your reactions, because again, we want to use that information to identify trends, because then once you have a trend, you can kind of know what to do with it. The next step is A, or that stands for accept or analyze, and that's when you can go back, after you've cooled off a little bit. You want to go back and look at your journal entry, and separate the facts from the emotions, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. And I have this I can never do anything right story that I tell a lot on my show, where I had not made a phone call, like a courtesy phone call, to say I was running late. And I was like, I can never do anything right, when the person on the other end of the phone was upset that I made them late. And when I had done the SNAP method on myself and I separated the facts from the emotions, could I do anything right? And how many things in a given day do I do wrong? When I made those lists and I realized there was one thing I did wrong that day, but there were dozens upon dozens of things I had done right, you can't possibly believe that story. You have to use the data to disprove or prove the story. So as those triggers come and you're reviewing your journal entry and you're trying to separate the facts from the emotions, you're able to see that's not true. That story I've been telling myself, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I could never do anything right. There's millions of them and we all have them. But by, kind of taking that objective view, you're able to, tell yourself a different story. The ego, which is the part of your brain that is recording all of these stories, records over 50,000 stories a day. 95% of them are on repeat. So think
Oh,
about how
wow.
many times you're just like going through the motions.
Yeah.
And so it's just ready, waiting to hand that story to you. And we have to just tell it a different story. We just have to, exercise that muscle a little bit. And the
Hmm.
last step in the process is P, which stands for practice gratitude. You want to thank that trigger for coming because it's your body's way of telling you just still have work to do. You just haven't resolved that story and you haven't put yourself back in alignment. And I love it because I think it keeps me humble. It reminds me that I'm human. I make mistakes. I, you know, like I'm a giver. I do a lot of things for a lot of people and you can get wrapped up in a lot of things, but like at the end of the day, you're human and you've got to be really kind to yourself and look at yourself and see yourself the way that other people see you.
Wow. That's incredible. You know, this is a career show, but really it's a life show. You know what I mean? And I was just talking to a fellow recruiter in the business who, got in it for the right reasons, is a 25-year vet in it, and he is just done with a lot of things. Talked to an engineer the other day, you know, dealing with a lot of this stuff that you're talking about, right? And, nobody knows exactly what's going on in anyone's life. But to hear these people say how, quote, done they are, not with necessarily their job, right? But with, a lot of things going on. And those are incredible. How difficult is this? I mean, you've been practicing, you developed this. So you've obviously had times where it's like, I have to do it this, da, 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 da. How difficult was it for you to get started?
Well, I think it was born, out of necessity because my coach wouldn't help me. So I better
Right.
get this right or the weight's going to go right back up. So I think initially it was really difficult because one of my lifelong triggers was that I'm fat.
Mm, I wouldn't know anything about that.
I was 10 when I was called fat. I was
I
10.
understand.
I had nothing on me. 5'7" and not even 90 pounds. At that point, I am now.
Hmm.
But once that story gets implanted,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a date and time stamp, and it's like, boom, that's the truth. And so
Wow.
having to
So
unpack
true.
that and apologize, deeply apologize to my 10-year-old self and like set her free took some time because it was so deeply ingrained. Maybe, I don't know how many weeks it took me, but there are other limiting beliefs that I have that or had that took one round of the SNAP method, several minutes, maybe half a day for some of them to get rid of them. So it all depends, but it's
Jeez.
applicable throughout all of your life. It's
Yeah.
the way that you interact with people and the way that you take their words on it and the meaning of their words. So your boss comes from an agitated call, has a call with you and says something with a slightly different tone. You take that in. You don't have to take that in. So learning how
Right.
to like be around that type of energy, but not absorb that type of energy is exactly what I teach my clients. So it's applicable in all parts of life. So,
Yeah.
your engineer friend who's done is done because so many of those like bad stories are just on that repeat
Right.
cycle. And it's just a matter of unpacking them and reprogramming them. And I have clients that have, spent, I think, the one that just recently graduated, her name's Chrissy, is like 54 maybe, and
Mm.
has never had self-love ever in her entire life, which is, by the way, most of the population. Um, Within 6 months, we got her to a place of a firm foundation of self-love. Like, you know, she had never had a healthy relationship with her daughter. Her daughter now hugs her and says, I love
Oh,
you. She's
oh
like, I
my
haven't been
God.
hugged by that kid in at least 12 years. Right. So
Wow.
there's these like massive shifts once you kind of, figure out the core of it, that you just end up seeing life in a totally different light.
It's incredible. I mean, if you think about it, you had these limiting beliefs for 40 years,
Hmm.
and it took half a day to get through a few things, some
Yeah.
core things, a half a day. It took your client 6 months. So think about on the spectrum of time, right? It takes so little time to get to where you need to be. I think
Yeah.
that's one place where people, you know, they they think it's going to take so long, and it's like, no. I mean, it was just, I mean, it was just 2019 for me.
Well, yeah, and we
You
live
know
in
what
the
I mean?
society of immediate gratification. I mean, like
Right.
Netflix, DoorDash, all the right, like we want everything
Right.
out and brought to us. And so I always
Gosh,
joke around with people that are like, well, I don't know if I'm ready for this, whatever. I'm like, okay, well, let's fast forward 6 months. So let's say, what is
it's
it?
going to be there.
It's
Right.
in 2 seconds. And in the time it takes you to deliberate, now you've just pushed it out to 2025. Why are
Oh,
we doing that?
geez.
And I
So
tell people,
true.
you only have a number of days left on this planet.
Yeah.
Some might have three, some might have 3,000, but you won't even know until it's already over. So let's just pretend it's the three, live like we only have 3 days left, and get through this stuff so that you can begin living to your fullest potential.
How difficult is it when you see someone that is absolutely going to benefit from this? And honestly, I don't know who couldn't. I really don't. Listening to your podcast, the guests you have on, and all of that, and talking through a lot of this stuff. How difficult is it for you to have the answer, right? You got the answer. You know what I'm going to say?
Yep.
Right? You got the answer. All you got to do is just let's just work together. We're going to work this out. And they say, I'm not ready. Not ready for what? I mean, how
I
difficult?
hear you.
Like, have you gotten into a point where it's like, okay, stay comfortable in that misery, I guess, you know?
It's heartbreaking. I had a call yesterday with a woman who is bawling on the call with me, like
Oh,
so
God.
desperate for this work. And, I tell her the price, which when you look at it is again a blip. I'm not living in a fleet of houses across the world here, right? Like
Right.
I'm not trying to make my first million. It is very reasonable, but she has no self-worth. So if I told her it was anything more than $1, she would have cringed. And at the end, she says, I have to ask my husband.
Oh, that the asking the spouse. That's the kiss of death
I'm
in
like,
sales.
you do not need anyone's approval
No,
to
you don't.
live your full authentic life. And by the way, he benefits from this
Right.
because when you are your true authentic self and you are putting yourself first, you are giving the best possible version of yourself to him and to your daughter. But she doesn't see it that way. And so that's it. It happens all the time. And I just have to say, well, then the pain will get a little tougher and then you'll call. And so it's just a matter of patience, but it breaks my heart because I was there. I remember lying on the floor right outside this door, which is in front of my front door, bawling my eyes out saying, this is not my life. I didn't sign up for this. This is not the story I signed up for at all. And I never want anybody to feel that way. Like I'm getting choked up thinking about it right now. I
I
never want
understand.
anybody to feel that level of misery and hopelessness. And so when I have somebody like that on a call, I'm like,
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
I know I can get you there, but you have to be ready and you have to say, I I feel so hopeless that I have to do this for myself. For me, I used to call myself the walking dead, and I never want to feel that way again. And I'll do whatever it takes not to get there. So, they just have to be
Mm,
ready.
yeah. I love that you acknowledge that it breaks your heart still, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
mean,
can't stand it. I thought about her all last night.
gosh, man. Gosh. I understand that, you know, I understand that too. It's like you have the answer, you have it. All you got to do is let's work together, let's apply it, but yeah.
Maybe I should
Now,
call it the magic pill, right? Because like a magic pill, people are like, I'll take
right.
it. they don't care what it's doing inside, but it'll fix the problem. I'm like, it is a magic pill. It's just maybe you can't see
You
it.
have to work it. It's
Yeah.
not going to work it for, or magic wand, you know what I mean? Or,
Yeah.
well, you got to get Harry Potter fans, I guess, for that. But, but, and here's the other thing too. And just to let the cat out of the bag a little bit, when something doesn't cost anything, people don't value it. If
Yes.
it costs something, then you're going to value it. You're going to apply it, and unless you're getting a service and someone believes in you enough to where it's like, okay, I'm going to work with you on this. I'm not going to charge you for it, but you have to do the work and I'm going to expect something in return. Is that cool with you? You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? That's one thing. But see, it's still, there's still a cost there. I tell a story all the time just so people understand why your program costs something, is because, okay, when I was in music, I remember vividly, I played the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco. Had some drama before that show, won't go into. And just like any other show, when I got off stage, and there were people around me, there were people that came to see me play. Ben Funk Torres was one of them, the founder of Rolling Stone magazine. Great friend, big Elvis fan, by the way. But just like any other show, somebody came up to me and handed me their CD. This is back when CDs, and I remember I had a navigator at the time, and a friend of mine was with me, and I put the CD in the back seat, and she goes, "What in the world, man?" And it was covered in CDs. I never played them. I never did. There could have been the next, I don't know, Elton John or Metallica or whoever, but I never played them, and I feel bad to this day. But it's because it didn't cost me anything, and I realized that years later. There has to be a cost associated with it. If people are willing to invest in themselves, then they're willing to make the change. If they're not, I got to ask my wife. I got to ask my spouse. That's one thing I want to talk about. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna hit on the differences in men and women with this course. So stick around. We will be right back with more of the amazing joyologist, Coleen Greco. Stay tuned.
Jane's Physical Therapy has immediate openings for full-time and part-time positions. For home healthcare physical therapists and physical therapy assistants, we are actively looking in the New Orleans and Lafayette areas. Call Bradley Clark at 713-364-8777. Join us at Jane's Physical Therapy, and let's help Louisiana get back to living life.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back with the Work Your Career Wednesday. We have amazing Coleen Greco with us, Joyologist Coleen Greco. I just love that title. I just love it. How did you come up with that title, by the way?
Well, I was looking for like an umbrella term because I also
Yeah,
do nutrition coaching, and sometimes I pull the two together, right? They
yeah,
are inextricably linked. Uh, and I just felt like I needed something, some kind of cap.
yeah,
Everything in my journey, as I was healing myself and my family,
yeah,
I came up with this phrase, joy in the smallest of moments. Like that's how we would get through our day. Because in the beginning of like a suicide story, you're working in like seconds and minutes. Like you're not thinking about what you're having for lunch. That's too far away. And so we would just look at joy in the smallest of moments, these tiny little tidbits of, sweetness or fun or
yeah.
this. Um, and so I just kept saying, it's got to have joy in it. It's got to be joy. And joyologist just came to mind. I was on a
I
walk.
love it. I was on a walk. I love it. Great things happen when you're out walking. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
sometimes. As you were talking, I was just having the thought. Gosh, how awesome it is that um, everybody came out of that unscathed. Is that the
Thriving, like completely like such a different family than it was before. Like we're all so great. I like to say he annoys me in the ways that a teenage boy should.
I love that. I guess I'm trying to find. Uh, I am so thankful he wasn't successful. Put
Yeah.
it
Oh,
that
we
way.
talk about it all the time. We
I think
are
that's what
so
I'm trying to say.
we're so grateful for that whole
Yeah.
experience, which is
Oh, it's amazing.
bizarre to say. How could you be so grateful for
Well, transformed everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
And
know,
it really put me on a path to my calling. I was in IT marketing. We talked about this,
yeah.
IT marketing leadership for 26 years. I wasn't in this field at all. And I knew I
Jeez.
was dying inside over there doing those things. And so sometimes there's cues that you just don't pay attention to. And sometimes you get hit over the head with a frying pan, which is what I think happened to me.
Right. Well, and that brings us what I want to talk about really quickly. Now your program isn't exclusive to women, right?
Right.
Or right.
It's
So
predominantly women. I mean, truthfully,
sure.
sometimes men like to open up to men, but yeah, predominantly women. But I do have men clients. Usually it's the husbands of the women I'm already working with, where she's like, you need to fix him now.
So what's the difference? And I have to say, being a man, and living, um, growing up, male, we we tend to we we don't open up,
Mhm.
right? And predominantly it's because nobody's going to care anyway. And it opens us up to, a lot of times we feel anyway, and a lot of us feel this way. I think I can definitively speak for a lot of men when I say this. When we do, it opens us up to, I don't know, there's an element of, you might feel weak,
Yep.
or you may feel like it'll be used against you, and
Yep.
the walls that you've put up, and the walls are fine. Nobody cares anyway. So I'm good. I'll get over it.
Mhm.
How do you find that that's true? And,
Yes.
and how do you work with men to get them to change their lives?
So with the men that I'm coaching, it almost always starts with nutrition coaching. I'm overweight. I'm not happy about it. Help me fix that. They take longer to get to the mindset piece, for the reasons that you're talking about, that it's a sign of weakness for some reason. It's kind of like, raising, I didn't raise my kids this way, but I have boys, but, boys don't cry. They need to stuff it, hold it in,
Yeah.
it's kind of weakness. It's not at all. In fact, getting real with this stuff is probably the strongest, most vulnerable thing you can do. It's amazing. And it actually makes you a better human, stronger, wiser, whatever. So they do take longer to get to the mindset piece. I have this client right now who, after 2 years, oh, I'm so happy he has gotten to this place. 2 years, he finally says, you know what? I think I use food like I used to use alcohol. I'm like, I
Yeah.
know.
We've been saying that for 2 years.
But I'm like, yay. But it's kind of like when you see your kid walking for the first time, it's like your mind blows when the light bulb finally comes on. And the same for him. And I'm like, I'm so happy that you finally admit that you have emotions. Because he used to say, oh, I'm so stressed out at work. This one's threatening this one's threatening that. And I said, and you're running for like a bacon double cheeseburger. Do you not see that as like self-sabotage? And he's like, no, I'm just stressed. I'm like, ah, right. So
Yeah. It's the same way I ran for McAllen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy he has finally had this breakthrough, because now I get to do the mindset work with him, where we get rid of this, like, he goes from like 295 down to 260. What happened this time was Christmas. I just want to take some time off for Christmas. I'm like, please don't take time off.
Please don't do it. Please don't.
Comes back
It's so bad.
He's up 15 pounds. He put 15 pounds on it in a month. Like, I think that was his full-time job that month. I don't know how he did 15 pounds so quickly.
It's very easy. I will tell you, it's extremely easy. Like, Like it is
Exactly.
a slippery slope downhill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easy.
And think about all that it's doing inside. He has high blood pressure already. His cholesterol's out of whack. His doctor's been threatening type 2 diabetes forever. So he's on that cusp. And I keep saying, when we get you lower, because he's also like 6'4" or something. So he doesn't want to really be under 250, like right around there, but like a good 250, a strong 250. But if we don't address the mindset piece, that weight is going to come right back on
Right
and
back
then
on.
some, So all those little notches, the extra notches he put in his belt, he's never going to see him again. So I'm telling him
So bad.
constantly, help me open. You don't have to necessarily open up to me with the details, but you have to let me guide you. If you want to do all that work privately, great. But let me guide you so that we don't have to do this again. I tell every single client, the greatest compliment you can give me is to not renew with me. I don't want to see you again. I want you to call and be like, hey, Colleen, just thought of you today. Just wanted to say hi. Great. I'll
Right.
talk to you like that all day long. But I don't want to coach you more than once because I didn't want to be coached more than once. I want people to go off and live their lives and just be done with it. I don't do the
Gosh.
dieting thing.
I totally know where he's coming from. Um, uh, so we talked about this. So in 2018, I lost 90, I don't know, 92 pounds, I guess.
Is that all? Just like
It,
92.
92 pounds. And I mean, it
I
was
want you to say that
bad.
again with some gusto. I don't care if
Well,
this is, say it louder and say it prouder. I'll wait.
I lost 92 pounds.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
good. It was good. And I was looking great. I still wanted to get to, so it was I was 287, 287. No, yeah, I got, no. Anyway, I think it was a little lower in 287. 287 sticks out. So, but I wanted to get lower. I wanted to get to about 230. So I'm 6'1". I wanted to get to about 230, because the way I'm built, nobody believes I'm as big as I am because of the way I'm built. And they don't believe it. I don't believe it. When I sit on that scale, it's like, really? Like, no way.
Like
That's
anybody
not
else
true.
on the scale with
That's
you?
not true. Yeah, exactly. That's not true. But yeah. So I lost that. And then in 2019, literally in January 2019, I get my first 3 stints. I have 5. Right. And I ended up getting so it was 3 the first
In
time
your heart?
in my heart. Yeah. And I thought, man, I felt so defeated. I really did. And if I didn't get the stints, I was headed for the Widowmaker. Right.
Yeah.
Like that was, and my cardiologist have been trying to get me to come see him for 2 years. Anyway, it's a long story. But I felt so defeated because I thought, man, I thought I was doing really good. I mean, obviously, I mean, I did really good. It took me a little less than a year to get down that much. My eating completely changed. Um, but I thought, man, I felt so defeated. So then I slowly started gaining it back. Started not going to the gym as much. You know what I mean? And then pressures at work got even greater. Then I had the next 2. And then it was a thing. And next thing you know, I mean, I've gained about 50 of it back. Right. So, but I know where he's coming from in that I have to get through this. I'm going to take some time off. And then in 2020, I injured my back again, and it was over. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I am telling you, it is so much harder. I don't care if it's for a month or 2 years. It is so much harder to get back on your horse when you stop. It's like, so, the thing that you're talking about is a lifestyle. It's not just losing weight. It's a lifestyle change,
Yep.
And I thought I was, my gut was good. My serotonin was great, but it took that and I went back into old habits. Depression is terrible. I call it a time thief. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I love your methods because it's not taking on the weight necessarily. It's taking on the things that cause us to do that. Food is a major addiction for me. Major addiction for me. And I know it, I recognize it.
It's putting unfair expectations on food too. I mean, if we're,
I
if you
love that.
food as a human, like food's
Well, we have to eat.
job
We have to eat.
is to keep you alive. That's it. So for it to be your friend or your weapon of choice or whatever, like your connection to community, whatever you use it
Right.
for, that's not what it's here for. It's here to keep you alive. So if
It's a
you
tool.
don't want to be alive anymore, just maybe stop eating for a number of days and you'll die. That'll be fine. But try not to do that.
Try not to do that. That would be
Try not
bad.
to do that. But putting sorry for slamming doors. Putting unfair expectations on food is really, where this
I
is.
love that.
That emotional connection. And when we break
Yeah.
that, you look at it differently. You don't even see the things. When I go in my pantry, I don't even see the kids' snacks.
The
Like,
kids
they're-
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like food. It's like food as a tool
Mhm.
to stay alive. It's not the thing to, yeah. I love that. I love that. Man, this is so incredible. This is so incredible. I think more men should call you. You know what I'm saying?
I
Call
do.
Coleen. Get in touch with her because I think we really it's just that thing of feeling weak and vulnerable to where we can't allow our walls to crumble, and the people that come into the walls, there's very few.
Right. You have to create this environment of psychological safety. And that
Yeah.
is what I'm, naturally, I think, gifted at, is always making people feel really safe. Everything's really confidential. There's no judgment. I've been there. I know what it feels like. I mean, sure, I don't have 5 stints, but I definitely feel like my heart was ripped out of my chest. So
yeah, I think I'm not comparing at all.
It's not a
at all.
competition. No one wins either way.
No. Oh,
No,
God. No.
I mean, you do.
Well,
You have to create a psychologically safe space where people feel like I am normal. There is nothing wrong with me. So the
Yeah.
fact that you regain the weight, big deal. Just stop today regaining. Like, let's just make a little
Snap out of it.
Snap. Little right hand turn. Let's go a little bit of a different direction. And before you know it, the loss just adds up and up and up, and you don't even recognize yourself a couple of months later.
Love it. Wow. That's
I had this
amazing.
other woman that she was almost like I don't know, almost like a hermit, I guess.
Yeah.
Husband had passed away, started accumulating all the things, eating all the things, accumulating all of his diseases, that he had, like, kidney and liver and diabetes and all that stuff. And now, I think we're at month 3. She's like, I think I'm going to go buy a different house. I don't even like this house. Like, he liked this house and he's gone. And everything she did before was because that's what he wanted. And she realized she wasn't even living her own life. And every time we get on a call, it's like,
wow.
You know what I think I'm going to do today? I'm just going to paint that wall. Like, I don't even like it. I'm like, good. Like, and some people think like, oh, that's like such a nominal thing. Not for her.
No, it is not.
And when she does that and feels the joy in that, then she suddenly puts her house on the market. And now she's, the town that she's looking at is like 4 towns away from where she lives. And she's like broadening her reach and saying that this phase of her life is hers. She doesn't want a guy. Her father was really abusive to her. So like the other phases of her life weren't so great. And this one's hers. Like, watch it. And I'm like, watch out. Go, girl.
I got to tell you, there's someone very close to me that I am going to turn her on to you. We'll talk about that later. But
Yeah.
wow. Oh, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Um, what's the main, I guess I don't know. It's like everybody's different, I guess. But we're all unique, just like everybody else. So what is the main sort of thread? Is it a lack of, spiritual foundation? As I've interviewed people, that have achieved great things, one of the constants is a strong spiritual foundation. Is that one of the things that is kind of lacking sometimes in people's walk?
They just believe they aren't good enough. They're not worthy.
Wow.
There's
So
there's a
so big.
component of sorry, there's a component of self-love that's missing. Now, some people it's completely gone or they never had it, but there's no self-love. There's no looking in the mirror and being like, I'm awesome.
Gosh, Coleen. So the lead singer of TV Dolls, I will tell you this. I was talking to him, I was going through it, and he's like, listen, every day I want you to look in the mirror and say something good about yourself and then text me that you did it. I'm still doing it. And I got to the point where I said to myself, how dare you not look at yourself as unique, as, wonderfully made, you tell everybody else that they are special, that they're, from the moment they were knit in their mother's womb, right? They were uniquely and wonderfully and fearfully made. Why do you not think that about yourself? Got me really thinking about that. And, it's really something that once you grab onto that, boy, once you know you're worthy, it's like anything else you take care of, right? You take care of your car, you take care of your house. You know what I'm saying? You take care of things. How come we don't take care of ourselves? Because we don't feel that we're worth it. And then all of a sudden when oh my gosh, it's so big. In the workplace. So you were IT, you were in corporate leadership for a long time.
Yep.
How often do you see leaders feeling the exact same way under, under this veneer of, Carnegie? You know
My
what I
last
mean?
boss was the most toxic woman I have ever met in my
Wow.
life. And I kept saying, I would just kind of like weave in that I do this nutrition coaching because I mean, she was morbidly obese,
Mm,
fine. But I'm like, if I can get you to see that I wasn't as bad as she was, like emotionally, um, but if I can turn my life around, anyone can, right? You
right.
just have to want it that much more than feeling like the Walking Dead. You just have to be like a tiny bit curious, like one foot on the path. And I wanted to change her so badly because I could see that she was really suffering, but she didn't want to admit that she was suffering. And it, like, again, I said it earlier, it breaks my heart. You are like depriving yourself of this life of abundance and beauty, and you're choosing to sit in this like dark, cloudy, stormy existence.
Mm.
And by the way, the only thing I would say to your affirmations, just please don't shame yourself anymore. Like, don't say how dare you. Sorry, I can't
Yeah.
resist. The coach in me
I
is
love
like,
it. Please.
shame
I
the shame
need all I can
out
get.
of you, Bradley. I will shame it right out of you.
I need all I can get. I really do. So your advice to me is stop. So you see what I just did there? I turned a positive into a negative. Is that what I did?
Well, like you were judging. You were judging yourself.
Wow. Wow.
And
Is
that's
that
okay.
common? Is that common though? When people start doing this,
Yeah.
is that common? They start judging themselves?
Yeah, I always say the worst S word you can use is should. Like, I should be doing this. That's a very gentle thing to say.
Wow.
No, you shouldn't. You could, but you shouldn't, right? Like, it should,
Interesting.
have to, want to, need to. I try to take that out of people's vocabulary because it is kind of unintentionally judging yourself. The facts are you were made perfect. You're perfect exactly the way you are. We just need to get you to believe that,
Oh
because
my
everybody else
gosh.
believes it. Everybody else believes it. And when you look how I do a lot of work within human design too.
Mhm.
And that's really like kind of why you respond the way you respond, kind of like how you're just genetically made. And you know, teaching people that that trigger came in that way and you responded that way because of this. So the only like the way out of it is if we just do this like slight shift. My husband and I were having a conversation the other day, and I said, I know that you think I needed to hear what you said that way, but honestly, if you just said it like a tiny bit differently, like this, it would have landed. And he's like, oh, that's what you've
Oh,
been trying to tell
dude.
me. Right. So, like, we didn't get in a fight over it, but I was just
Right.
like, you know, like it would have landed if you just did that tiny little tweak. And so, you know, we're just practicing. It's fine because everybody's different. So, the way that you say it isn't always the way I need to hear it. And so, just teaching him that subtle shift
Wow.
avoided an argument. And by the way, I do the exact same thing with him. I don't know how to always communicate with him either. But this
Yeah, I mean,
time,
I can imagine that. I can imagine like, it's like, I just want to win one. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, well, you will not, and I will tell you why.
yeah,
That's
it's just kind of like
amazing. Wow.
yeah, yeah. Or like, we were on vacation and he went and did like one of the little activities. He was gone for like a really long time, and I couldn't figure out why I was starting to get spun up about it. And I realized it was cutting at my like one of my core safety values. And it wasn't like
Really?
physical safety, it was like emotional safety. Like I didn't know the plan, I didn't know when I was supposed to be back to the room, I didn't know this, I didn't know that, and it was spinning me up. And I realized, had he just checked in, or I think I did check in with him, but had he just checked in, I would have been fine. But I like ordered him lunch, I waited around, I did all these things, and I was spinning up, and I was like, I knew that that was a me problem, not a him problem. And I was able to like turn it around
Hmm.
and resurrect my day, which would have been destroyed other times.
Jeez. Gosh, you're everything you're saying. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah,
I know.
that's
I
so
could talk about
true.
it for years.
Oh my gosh. So, um, not to be controversial or anything, but in today's society, where we have a lot of people, a lot of kids, really, a lot of kids, um, apparently not believing that they're perfect, that they have to be something else, or that they are something else, or whatever, you know. And again, I'm not trying to be controversial or anything, but that's what I see when I see that stuff. I see, wow, man, why don't they think that they're you know what I'm saying? Like, why
Yeah.
like the things you're telling me, why don't they feel that? Like, is no one told them that, or whatever? What what's your response to that?
I
Because go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, no, because you know you're right. We are so self-defeating, just as humans. There's all sorts of different things that, I mean, I talk about being 10 years old. I get that. You know what I mean? I get that. And I told you about my experience. Who thinks that way? You know what I mean? And it was largely because there was so much going on, with my parents getting divorced and so many things that I didn't understand. I was convinced it was my fault. Convinced it was my fault. You know what I mean? Being a kid. And, I thought if I just removed myself, they would be fine. Who thinks that?
Well,
But
I mean,
that's what I thought. So anyway, yeah. So just how do you, I don't know, how would you coach that, or I don't know.
well, I mean, I haven't done the best job myself, so I'll just start by saying I'm not perfect either. But social media, I think, has destroyed a lot of our self-confidence because
Yeah.
you're hyper connected to people all the time, and
So
you're able to
true.
compare yourself because you've put a better picture up of yourself than I have, right? So like you must be living a better life. It's very simple to draw those conclusions. I always talk about like the Instagram ready Thanksgiving table.
Oh
My
gosh. Oh,
Thanksgiving
I
table
know.
looks like a hot mess, right? And I'm
Right.
proud of that because that's my Thanksgiving table.
Love
But
that.
I know, like here's an example of something that happened because you got to remember, especially for kids, like their brains aren't fully formed until they're like 25. So one of my kids is training to become a professional wrestler, and
So cool.
yeah,
So cool. Oh, I love that. Okay.
oh yeah, oh yeah, he is all in. Um, but you know, people try to say things to be kind, and they say, well, if that doesn't work out, like dot dot dot, and he
Yeah.
hears, you're gonna fail.
You're going to fail. That's exactly right.
And that's not
1000%.
at all what the person means. They're just like, don't give up, try this other door, don't give up, ask again. You know, like they're trying to be encouraging, but he
Right.
hears, you're gonna fail.
If that music thing doesn't work out, Brad,
Right.
if that other thing doesn't work out, you're right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Completely taking your choice and your gas, you're done.
Yeah.
Yep, totally get that.
Yeah. And by the way, we raised him in a really positive household. We told him we loved him 50,000 times a day and that he was capable of everything. And we said all the right things and
Right.
we did all the right things. But again, it's like just the example with my husband, the way he delivers it versus the way I need to hear it is
Hmm.
different. And so had I known anything about human design at that point, I might have realized how he needs to hear things and delivered the message a little bit more supportively. And people
Right.
around him, you know, again, you know, his grandparents say it to him all the time, well, if that doesn't work out, like what's your backup plan? I'm like, you just told him he was going to fail.
I mean, my backup plan would be AWE. Is that one of the AWE? Yeah. I mean, if
AEW.
WWE doesn't work, AEW, that's what it is. If WWE doesn't work out, AEW is always there.
Yeah,
And yeah,
there's no malicious intent. It's just the way like it gets in there. And then
yeah.
it goes back to the 50,000 thoughts a day and 95% of them are on repeat. So he's like, I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail.
Jeez. Is that why people say to people use that mindset as fuel? You know what I mean? Like use it as fuel. Don't, listen to it, take it in. I've said it. Take it in, use it as fuel because you're not going to get it out of your head anyway. So you may as well go and try to defy that statement, that odd, right?
I mean,
I mean, is that why people say that?
yeah, it's well, because it's like instead of stuffing it down or soothing with food and alcohol, like getting the stress out, using the energy
Yeah.
for good. But I do think you can get it out by reprogramming the ego, you know, using the whole snap
Right.
method. That's how you get it out. But you know, assuming that you don't know anything about that, then yeah, use it as
Right.
fuel. I used to do that in sports. I used to be like, so I'd be at softball and I'd be like at the plate, I'm just like grinding on the bat. I'm like, I am gonna smash the heck out of this ball. Like just
Right.
smash because I
Yeah.
was so full of anxiety and you know, just comparing myself to everybody else on the team. And I was actually really good, but
Right.
I didn't really think it or believe it. Um, but
Totally
I
get that.
figured that out. A lot of people don't know how to do that. And so it just depends on, I guess, like how they're taught.
Totally get that. Totally get that. So, whatever someone's going through, young age to however much, getting people to believe that they are amazing, that they were born perfect, that, they are enough, right?
Mhm.
You know, is a very difficult thing to do. Is that why some people tend to go with the path of least resistance and say, yeah, oh, yes, you are that. Oh, sure. Yep. Oh, yes, I'm affirming that. And, do you think I mean, because no human design, when you're saying human design, I love that term. because it is an amazing design, right? And a lot of these thoughts go out of the window on a gurney. You know what I mean? So, so really, I think, and I think for all of us, sort of trying to understand this phenomena, that I believe social media had a great, I'm with you. I think social media had a great influence on it, trying to get us to understand it. It's like, you don't think you're anything either. You think you're something else too. You're projecting something to the world that may or may not be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do the work on you first. Yep. Before we're doing work on other people. Is that pretty close?
Yeah. So human design is actually like what's the word? Construct. It kind of takes into account like when you were born, the time you were born, where you were born, and the lunar cycle and numerology and all that stuff. It takes into account a lot of that stuff. And it says there are 5 different types of people. I'm a manifesting generator. That means I can create, I have 1,000 ideas. I am like the queen of sticky notes. Write that down, like all kinds of things, right? I'm always coming up with ideas. I have limitless energy, whereas somebody who is like a generator has to learn how to rest. They like run out of gas and just fall flat. They're big idea people, but they really can't execute. A manifesting generator is, comes up with a ton of ideas too, but I can also execute all of them. And I have trouble saying no to things. So I want to do all of my great ideas now.
Yeah. Like, right.
Projectors. My husband's a projector. And so he is, he's a little bit more like methodical and has to wait for the invitation. So when I say like, why don't you go to your boss and tell him you want this or that? He's like, no, he'll come to me. Whereas I, as a manifesting generator, are like, I want that job and here's why. And I'm all these qualifications, da, 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 da. Like, so there's all these different personality types, I guess. Well, you're a recruiter, right? Okay.
Sure.
So this is more like the human side of it. And so knowing that and knowing the pieces and parts of yourself, you can understand why you respond to things a certain way. So when I, as a manifesting generator, I know that as I go to, somebody asks me if I want to do something and I get this little like a little guttural feeling.
Yeah.
That's a no. And if I ignore that, and I know that they call it your not self. When you're in your not self, that's when I'm socializing that with like 15 different people. Well, do you think I should do that? Hey, how about you over there? Do you think I should do that? And then I ask like 15 people and I'm waiting for somebody to tell me it's a bad idea. That's when I'm in my not self because I ignored that feeling in my body that my body is signaling you should say no. It's so fascinating. It's so fun. I could talk about it again for years.
What are the other 3? I mean, there are 5. What are the other 3?
Test time. Okay. There's generator, projector, reflector, and the other guy. Where is it?
So the reflector would be somebody, reflecting things. Reflecting.
I got it right here. I can't remember.
What does that even mean? The reflector is reflecting things.
They're doing stuff. It's fascinating. And what I love about it is it teaches me more about like how I do things. So
interesting.
When I'm kind of like in alignment and I pay attention to those things, great things happen. And it just, puts more energy out there. It attracts more abundance in. It's absolutely fascinating. And I can't get enough of it.
I love that. Wow. I love that. So incredible. So incredible.
I'll look for yours one at some point if you want.
I'd love to. Absolutely. Yeah.
In fact, I'll do it.
In fact, I will, I'll be calling you again. I was so funny. When we had a disconnect last weekend. Oh my God, it crushed me. I was so crushed. I really was. I could not believe it. I was like, oh my gosh, how could I have missed this? Oh my, and you know what's funny? Since then, I've been like hyper vigilant about my calendar. Really have. I really have. For the love. I know, right? For the love. But I got to tell you, I'm actually thankful for it because it's like, man, why is this creating so much anxiety? And it's because, I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to, and in that, when you're talking about stop, and sort of and analyze things, it got me thinking about, times in my corporate life, right? Where, or even, when I had the band full time and we were building like this media, for lack of a better term, organization, right? I didn't want to let anybody down. And it really caused a great deal of anxiety. Great, to the point that so it was almost like, when something's vibrating and then it starts to vibrate so much, it just looks like it's standing still. That's what happens to me. And so it's like,
Like
wow.
so hard not to want to like grab onto that and coach you. But I
Feel
will
free.
Yeah, well, okay, but look at what I'll have to pull up the text to remember how I responded, but I'm pretty sure I said, okay, no problem. I didn't say
Yes.
you're such
Yes. I get, and I get
sleep,
super,
sleep, sleep, right? I
oh
didn't
my
say,
God. And I get super verbose. Like, I mean, there is not a word I won't use in a text. I mean, just pages, uh, you know, and it's like, man, I've had to really analyze that when I've talked to people about giving away their power, right? That's kind of what I'm talking about. It's like, when people hire people, they hire you for a reason. They don't hire you because they just really want to spend money on you in some altruistic, endeavor because they just love you so much. They're investing in you. And they're investing in you because they know that you can do a particular job. And so for me, um, it's sometimes when I get that way, it's like, man, and the other person is like, Brad, we're cool. Yes, we're good. And I'm still trying to say, no, but I really am, I'm really good at this. And I'm really, I'm sorry. And I get so, it's a
nicer.
vibrating thing.
Wouldn't it be so much nicer if you believed in yourself?
Gosh, yes, yes. And you know what? Thankfully, I think I'm beginning to, but I am definitely, man,
Well,
I'm going to have to believe and invest in myself, I think, with you, because my God, oh, geez, it's so amazing. Really,
okay. Well,
everything
I
you're
mean, I
talking
would
about is
be
great.
honored. I'm not trying to recruit you, but I would be honored because
I'm
truly
trying to recruit you. So,
it's great. When you, like I said, it's almost like seeing your kid walk. You're like, or when they read for the first time and you can almost see the wheels in their brain turning. And when that light bulb goes off for people, I am like crying like a little baby because I'm so happy that they have gotten to the other side. And now we just have to keep exercising that muscle, just like in the gym. They start off kind of small and then
yeah,
over time they build. And, pretty soon you don't need me. And then I get to check in and just say, hey,
I love that.
fun. Saw your show, heard your latest, it's
So
fun.
you work with people one on one. You speak to people all over the world, companies, events, symposiums, whatever, conferences. When your TED talk is over, right? What is the most common response afterwards? You know what I mean? When you come off stage and maybe, you have your table there or whatever, what's the most common response?
I wanted to look up this email I got yesterday because it was like, oh, here it is. This had me crying too. Okay. Now I have to like lift up my glasses because I'm like blind. Um, when I heard Joyologist, my first thought was who, what, and why. I was like, please continue. Um, and I was a fill-in for somebody else that had to cancel. So I was just kind of like the booby
Yeah.
prize. Are we allowed to say that anymore? I don't know. Anyway,
Sure. Yes.
um, because some of the other instructor couldn't make it. The universe has ways to push us towards what we need. I so needed you that day.
Hmm.
Although we were all in tears at the end, I was like, yeah, nailed it. I felt it was, I feel it was those limiting beliefs that were just stripped from us. You didn't preach joy and just tell us to be happy. You showed us where to find it and what was holding us back. I took the time to write this review because I needed to put some of your tools into action. I'm beyond impressed with the confidence I've picked up. I've been a better husband and father by changing the things that I believed in myself that just weren't true. I was like, is there something in my throat?
That's incredible. That's
That's like,
incredible.
I get those notes all the time. And I'm like, it's so humbling because, when would I have ever been in contact with, and that was a guy, by the way, it wasn't a woman.
Hmm.
When would I have seen him otherwise? Right? Like, so cool that we just came together at the same time. I had something to say, and he wasn't too proud to hear it. It was awesome.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
incredible. I love that. Gosh, I love that. Wow. Real quick, take me through the steps. When somebody starts to work with you, what are how does it go typically? Because I imagine it kind of goes in this way, everybody's different, but is there a set sort of agenda where,
Yeah. So it depends if they're coming to me for nutrition coaching first. We get together, we set goals. There's a weekly check-in process that happens over email. Sorry, the natives are getting restless. There's right. So like there's a whole process and they get weekly training videos and all kinds of support. And that, generally is a minimum of a 6-month engagement because I never want to work with the people that just want to lose 10 pounds before vacation. Like that's not gratifying
right.
for me at all. I want people that really want to change their life. And that like kind of transformation does take at least 6 months sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's nutrition coaching. On the other side, maybe you lack self-love, you feel completely stuck, you don't know your purpose in life, like you're having these bigger conversations with yourself and you want to jump into like mindset coaching with like a side of nutrition coaching. That is by weekly one-on-ones where we have like live conversations. We set big goals and then every 2 weeks we meet and we chip away at those goals. So your goal might be self-love, but every 2 weeks we are doing things to get you there. So we have different things. I always tell people, let's set 3 goals. 3 is a manageable number. I like lists of 3. 4 makes me feel like there's too many things. But maybe you accomplish one of the 3 in the first 2 months. That's cool. Replace it. Pick something else. Or we double down on the other 2. It just depends on, how committed they are, how invested they are in the journey. So, and then I have group coaching programs as well. Right now, I only have group coaching for women.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have enough guys that want to do mindset coaching in a group. But
right.
That's always on the table. Who knows? Maybe it'll come out of this call.
Maybe it will. Maybe it will. And I hope it does. I think for anybody that is trying to be successful in their career, you're really missing it if you're not getting in tune with who you are. That's one of the things, every successful person, and when I have been there, I have always been successful. It's when these limiting thoughts and doubts and all of this stuff comes creeping in, it's almost impossible to get out. So what your method does is it's not just for, a healthy body. It's the trifecta.
Yep.
And if you want to be successful in your career, get with Coleen, period. You need to do that. Coleen, where can people find you? Everywhere. And we'll put the links to everything in the description. But real quick, your podcast, Joy Unleashed, is phenomenal. You find that on all the major platforms. Go.
Instagram at the Coleen Greco, TheColeengreco. My website is ColeenGreco.com. And don't see natives.
That's okay. That's all right.
Don't judge me on. I'm just
bring them in.
Stop it.
What kind of dog? What kind of dog is that?
They're Australian Labradoodles. They're little.
Oh my God! Bring them on! Oh my goodness!
All right, stop it. You know, they have one dog that they do that with, and he just walked by. So I saw it, and I was like, "This is when he's going to ask me how people can find me." Anyway,
I love it.
Coleen Greco is Instagram. My website is ColeenGreco.com. Same with, Facebook, and I have a YouTube channel. So wherever people normally go, they can find me. Just know that at birth, my name was misspelled and it's Coleen with one L. What can I do?
I love that. I love that. Unique in every way.
Yeah.
Truly unique. Coleen, I have, wow, I've gotten so much out of our conversation. And really, I appreciate you so much, more than you'll ever know. And thank you so much for
Thanks
everything.
for having me. It was a great time. You're really fun and full of flattery, which I don't know that I deserve, but I appreciate.
Every bit of it. You absolutely, every bit of it. And just really thank you so much. Guys, go and visit Coleen at every place that she's at. Listen to her podcasts. She is amazing. And thank you guys for tuning in. Really, we love you, and couldn't do this without you. So for everybody at Work Your Career Wednesday, White Husky Films, Jane's Physical Therapy, go see the TV Dolls, and Coleen Greco. Remember this, that I love you. God bless you. Let his face shine upon you, give you great peace. Be excellent to yourself and be excellent to each other. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.
White Husky Films. Dream, create, record. We create ads and promos for your business. We can promote your video on television, Facebook, YouTube, Hulu, and more. We do a full Google SEO analysis for you with any plan. Call us today at 305-744-1444 or visit our website at whitehuskyfilms.com. White Husky Films. You'll be glad you did.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Hey, if you like Work Your Career Wednesday and want to be notified every single time we have a new episode, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Smash it. Get a hammer and get it. And
Yeah, that's fine.
Too much?
No, that's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I love it. People want.
Do you hear Steven in the background? I was just making sure I'm going to be okay. But get that notification going. And hey, we will be letting you know, or I guess YouTube will be letting you know, when the next Work Your Career Wednesday is on. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Man, ding it, ring it, sling it, and bo-bang it. All right? And we will see you soon. Work Your Career Wednesday. Oh, great. I'm glad you stopped by. Be sure to get that subscription bell, and I'll see you there.